Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? You idiots. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault.
Who are you?
You're under arrest for assault.
Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me. So excuse
Police,
me.
You're under arrest.
What is your name in your badge? What is your name in your badge?
You've been told you're under arrest.
Why am I?
Hey guys, Pierre Polyev responded to David Menzies' arrest, his false arrest, his setup arrest, his basketball point and shoot and block. What's it called?
Pick.
His pick, that's right. And he says, this is the state of freedom of the press in Canada in 2024 after 8 years of Trudeau.
What is your name in your badge? What is your name in your badge?
And here is Elon Musk replying to Stilgray and a couple others regarding the assault and falsified arrest. They won't make it past the next election with 157,000 views, guys.
Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? You idiots. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault.
Why are you pushing me?
Marcel Irnie, Irnieracing, Canadian journalist. So, we have all seen the video footage of Rebel News journalist David Menzies being assaulted, set up for assault, arrest, a false arrest charge by Chrystia Freeland's Trudeau's bodyguard security detail, these fake RCMP, set up him to walk in to the guy to body check him. The security guard essentially, they set him up on the path as he's trying to interview Chrystia, ask her some questions, which she can say no comment, and set him at walking right in the path of this guy doing a stop block, pinch and roll, whatever you want to call it, from basketball or football, sets him up for a little bit of a body check, a shoulder-to-shoulder confrontation, accidental but purposeful by the RCMP and Chrystia Freeland's whole team, it looks like. Her assistant gets out of the way. So yeah, you've seen the footage. Let's watch it one more time. Okay, guys, so let's scrub through this really slowly. Okay, so Freeland's looking straight. Her assistant is looking at David. See her eyes to the right of the assistant. Freeland is just smirking. I'm evil. And then the assistant now is looking, eventually looking back at him. And then she does a hustle. What's going? She's, you see the security detail vehicles on the left there. What sends this person hustling across? Chrystia Freeland, right? Her eyes go all of a sudden straight. She blinks. And then she turns and looks at him to run across. And Freeland, look at her crazy witch smirk going there. Backwards frown. She's just, and then she steers across right near the pole where this black figure in a big trench coat is waiting with his shoulder to hit. He's not going to like move. You know how people like would be kind and you're walking through crowds and, if somebody's going to hit you, you turn to deflect, to not have to prevent the impact. But he actually has his arm. There's his arm. Look, it's sticking out, trying to make sure he catches them. And this guy's just trying to walk. And then, next to Chrystia Freeland here. He's next to Chrystia. She stops right there. She stops. She knew it was coming. And then, and deflects over there. And then so let's go through it one more time before we get into the article. So we're assuming they all know what's coming from this. She's looking. Yeah, the assistant. What do you think, guys? She's looking down and looking over. She looks over. Security is saying, get over here. She runs over. And then Chrystia just does a stop right as he hits him and deflects. And then around, and then he's assaulted. Okay. Okay, now we're getting the news now. So the charges, there was no charges. He was arrested and released without charge. So that's the main update. And National Post, I'm going to read you some of their article. They say their headline is RCMP officer who arrested David Menzies of Rebel News for assault while he questioned Chrystia Freeland is now under review. David Menzies was grabbed by an RCMP officer and told he was under arrest, with video of the incident sparking outrage before he was released without charge. So this is today, January 9th, 2024. A member of the RCMP security detail, and they, by the way, they don't say his name. So if anybody is found anywhere that his name is published, please write in the comments. I'll pin it, and then we can make this guy famous even more than he already is. With, you know, essentially the Igor. He's done himself. He's done himself in his stupidity, agreeing to this if he didn't come up with the idea. So a member of the RCMP security detail who grabbed and arrested Rebel News commentator while questioning Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland Monday is under review by the federal force, and after video of the incident sparked outrage for a seemingly dubious arrest. Now, keep in mind, imagine there was no video. David Menzies would be charged with assault, and he would probably be convicted of assault because all of the perpetrators are going to lie as RCMP members, including Chrystia Freeland would, of course, lie as well. David Menzies was grabbed and pushed by an RCMP officer and told he was under arrest for assault as he was asking the minister questions about the government's terrorism response outside of a vigil in Richmond Hill, just north of Toronto, to mark 4 years since Iran's military shot down flight PS-752, killing 176 people, many of them Canadian. So I quote, RCMP protective policing resources were involved in an incident while deployed on a protective operation, said Sergeant Kim Chamberlain, an RCMP spokesperson. The RCMP is looking into the incident and the actions of all parties involved. No further comment is available this time. When asked by the National Post to clarify that the review applies to both Menzies as well as the unnamed RCMP officer, Chamberlain replied, it refers to all parties involved. The incident has received global attention, as it should, because it shows these henchmen, these dubious RCMP henchmen, Igors, shit disturbers, breaking the law in the name of law. They are the perfect example of Trudeau and the Liberals breaking democracy in the name of democracy, right? The arrest of the Rebel News reporter was made by the Prime Minister's RCMP security detail. York Regional Police officers assisted as the interaction took place in our region, said Constable Lisa Molzaluk, a media relations officer with York Police. It was determined, quote, it was determined that no credible security threat existed and the subject was released unconditionally shortly thereafter. That's nothing. There was never a security threat. They never mentioned a security threat. In fact, it was very specific. You're under arrest for assault. You assaulted a police officer. And of course, the police officer never identified himself before grabbing David Menzies, which is another illegal act. You can't just grab somebody. They don't know you're police. He could have acted in self-defense and try to elbow you in the face, take you out, hit you in the throat, whatever. He would have full justification when somebody is grabbing him in the middle of nowhere. You need to announce your presence first. And then Menzies asked him for his name and badge number to an unidentified police officer with no name badge, right? So he has to actually identify verbally because he doesn't have a name badge. If he did have a name badge, he actually, from my research and dealing with Constable Conrad Herbs and the RCMP Responsibility Conduct Unit, it is not in the RCMP Act. That is not actually in the Act that they have to identify with name or badge. They just have to have it visually. They have to have the tag. That's all they're really determined by. If they don't have the tag, then they have to verbally say it. It's ridiculous. We have our Constitution in Canada is turning out to be a freaking joke. No credible security threat. Absolutely bullshit. Menzies' release without charge hasn't muted expressions of outrage over the incident, recorded by a Rebel News videographer in a video which shows a man in a suit, tie, and dark coat seemingly to create a collision with Menzies that facilitated the arrest. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I've been sick for a while here, but at least I'm in the sunshine in Arizona right now, just south of Lake Havasu. Menzies is seen on the video approaching Freeland outside as she walks towards the event's entrance. She doesn't stop to talk. Menzies asks 2 questions as he matches her pace, tilting his microphone back and forth between them as they walk to capture his questions and her responses that don't come. Menzies almost walks into a column, behind which a man in a long dark coat stands with his right shoulder seemingly to poke out into the walkway. Menzies collides with the man's right shoulder, and the man immediately reaches out to corral Menzies as Freeland then dirks around in the other direction. The man grabs Menzies by his coat lapels and shoves him up against the wall as the other men swarm in, and Freeland and the woman walking with her keep walking. Wow. If you guys have read the book 1984, this is like exactly, like it sounds like it's in the book, how they're grabbing the people off the street, right? There's no free thinking allowed out there. This is crazy. "You're under arrest," quote, the man says, according to the video. He then grabs Menzies' arm that holds his microphone and twists it down. Quote, "You're under arrest for assault," the officer adds. Menzies says, quote, "Why am I under arrest? You bumped into me." "You pushed into me," the officer replies. Menzies asked him his name and badge number, but he is not heard answering. Quote, "You've been told you're under arrest," another unidentified man in a suit says as he reaches out for Menzies. Quote, "Why am I under arrest? He blocked my way," end quote, Menzies tells the second man. The first officer then tells Menzies he is a peace officer and Menzies is under arrest for assaulting a peace officer. Uniformed members of York Police first stand and watch, but later are seen handcuffing Menzies and leading him away. The incident sparked instant alarm and outrage, particularly from conservative commentators and organizations online, such as us, right? Citizens, we're outraged, absolutely, because this can happen to anybody. It has happened to me in a similar fashion, except I didn't get out of the RV. But it would have happened like that if I did. In fact, the evidence I got later on proves that they knew who I was. They knew exactly who I was. The security detail, the commissionaires were after me. They called me a protester, a troublemaker, etc. And that I wasn't under arrest because I was in the motorhome. So, the incident sparked instant alarm and outrage, particularly from conservative commentators and us. It is a cast by the right-wing Rebel News as an attack on freedom of expression by the Liberal government of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Rebel News widely shared the unsettling event, shocking footage. Chrystia Freeland's bodyguards assault and arrest David Menzies when he's asked her a question, said the main headline on the site. Rebel News described it as brutal arrest. Ezra Levant, founder and owner of Rebel News, said in the article he was outraged by the arrest and asked for financial help. "The only way to get justice is in court. We've got the evidence of the false arrest and of the police assaulting David. If we don't stand up for David, this will just keep happening," Levant said in his story. What's interesting, though, is had in a side note, Rebel News and True North and Ezra Levant, they are aware of my story. They're aware that what happened in my camper on January 21st. They are aware that I was representing public interest versus Conrad Herbs. They're aware that Conrad Herbs sued me in small claims court for my right to freedom of press, my right to association, and my right to peaceful assembly. And they refused to publish the story. And then I won in court. The Judge Tam threw it out. Herbs cease and desist lawsuit against me for financial reward. And again, they refused. I contacted them, they looked at it, and they decided not to publish anything about it. And I was representing public interest. So it's very strange what's going on with Rebel News and True North. However, Western Standard and even all the mainstream medias that I contacted would publish it. You know, Infotel published it, Castanet published, and they're the ones who pushed the propaganda, saying I instigated the police officer in their first article and sent the haters at me, the liberal haters. So very interesting that Ezra Levant and, his stance and what he's doing. Like, why would they not share a story, which is the same thing about somebody of freedom of press being attacked, right? So I don't know what to think about these guys. some kind of controlled ideology in their own brains. So anyways, the only way to get justice is in court. Yeah, so again, okay, we've got the evidence, and I had the evidence, you know. We need to sue Freeland's out-of-control RCMP bodyguards. They claim they're police, but they're acting more like a police state. Freeland's office had not yet provided comment on the incident in response to questions from the National Post prior to the deadline. Rebel News video directed viewers to a designated Stand with David website that was registered in 2021 and redirected to the Rebel News main site with donation requests. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre shared videos of Menzies' arrest on Twitter X, adding the comment, "This is the state of freedom of press in Canada in 2024 after 8 years of Trudeau," end quote. So that's Pierre Poilievre, so he made a comment about it. In another thread on the arrest, X's owner, tech billionaire Elon Musk, responded to the video with, quote, They won't make it past the next election," end quote. Presumably referring to the Liberal government. And so Levant told National Post that Menzies being released by police off-site without charge does not end Rebel News' interest in the matter. "Why did they handcuff him? Why did they smash his face against the wall?" he said. "We have retained legal counsel and expect to sue the RCMP, YRP, and Freeland as soon as this week for false arrest, false imprisonment, malicious prosecution, and assault." Menzies is a commentator and media personality perhaps most widely known for his on-ground confrontation of the verbal and visual kind, which sometimes veers into the outlandish. He is often accused of being a provocateur. In 2021, he was also grabbed and restrained on a sidewalk in Toronto by security detail for Trudeau, who slammed him into a wall as the Prime Minister arrived at an event before being released without charge. That same year, Menzies was arrested after a confrontation with Melissa Lantsman, then a Conservative candidate and currently an MP and the Conservatives' deputy leader. She told reporters at the time she felt unsafe after Menzies' questions became homophobic and related to my sexual orientation. Oh yes, this is Melissa. I remember her. Short hair one now. Short, dark hair. Questions about her sexual orientation. So she's probably gay. I mean, she has the haircut, right? Menzies and Rebel News, not that there's anything wrong with that. Menzies and Rebel News are part of a growing wave of activist journalists chasing stories that might boost their positions, whether ideologically left or right or push specific causes. 3 times in the video after his arrest, a fuming Menzies refers to Trudeau simply as blackface, a reminder of Trudeau's past scandals of donning blackface and brown-face makeup for costumes of his own. Menzies calls him blackface 3 times. Michelle Rempel Garner, a Conservative MP, said Menzies' style and views shouldn't matter, and they shouldn't. "I find his theatrical gotcha journalism tiresome, but he's entitled to his approach," she said on X. "The intervention here by police is unwarranted and egregious." Well-known leftist activist Desmond Cole also decried the arrest of Menzies. "David Menzies is gross, but for those saying he isn't a real journalist, should the police be able to block the path of and then arrest anyone who wants to question a particular politician in public?" Cole said on X. "The cop blocked his path and then played victim, which is standard for them. The cop's ability to grab someone for using their voice is a problem." And that's it, guys. Let's check out the footage again. We'll try to edit it back and forth. Voice is gone. Yeah, guys, RCMP. Don't trust them. Let's get rid of them. I say get rid of them. Get local police forces who actually support the community, support the people. See, but somebody you could go to ask for help and not be afraid when they're just driving behind you, but be like, "Oh, great. Like Sam's back here. Perfect. Keeping an eye on everybody. Making sure we're all healthy and, help you with the community problems. Like, oh, you break down on the side of the road, I'll call you a tow truck, give you a ride." Like, that's what policing should be. And when there's actual real criminals, arrest them and hold them accountable, as opposed to arresting innocent people or harassing innocent people and putting them through this legal bullshit that they know won't stand usually, to waste taxpayers' money, taxpayers' mind. And of course, it's the process is the punishment. We all know. Irnieracing News, Canadian journalist. Make sure to like, subscribe, share these videos, guys. Doing my best. Thanks a lot.